Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis here once again. Another week, another Sunday. It is 10:51 p.m., June 27th, 2021, of course. Another week in the book for the Astros here, so things pretty good. Not super excited about the week, more so because of the way it ended. Obviously, the Astros lose today. They do go 5-2 this week. Of course, 3 with the Orioles Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 4 with the Detroit Tigers Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the Astros sweep the Orioles, and then they actually take the opener on Thursday, which brought their winning streak up to 11 games. Rain out Friday, 7-inning doubleheader on Saturday, split that, and then lose today. So 3-game sweep of the Orioles, and then we split the 4-game set with the Tigers. So that's kind of why it's, usually the Astros go 5-2 in a 7-game week. That's usually a good thing, but in this circumstance, it's really hard to ask for more than that. In fact, I think in any series, it's hard to go in and expect a sweep. I just feel like after sweeping the Orioles, the Astros, if you just won 3 of 4 in this Detroit series, things would look a lot better, and not so much. So, not super excited with how the week sort of ended, but all in all, still have to be happy with where the Astros are at. To go over a few things, obviously, we talked last week. The Astros went undefeated, obviously, 6-0, sweeping the White Sox and beating the Rangers in the short 2-game set before that. But obviously the Astros offense was just relentless, incredible with the way they were just smashing the ball and scoring all these runs. And the week actually started that way. They scored Monday they won big. Tuesday was actually the offense didn't really come out. They scored 3 runs, still won the game 3-1. Wednesday they came out, smashed the ball. Thursday they do the same thing in Detroit, but Friday's rain out. I don't know if that messed with them in any way, but Saturday the 2 7-inning doubleheaders, which is kind of a weird thing. The Astros didn't hit really at all, and then today they scored 1 run, had like 2-3 hits. So the offense in the last 3 games really has not done much of anything, which is why we lost 2 of those 3 games. So, but yeah, you go into things so. The Astros are going with the 6-man rotation, at least this time around, to 20 straight games. Obviously, the rain out doubleheader. Astros have a full week ahead of them again, so before they finally get a day off a week from tomorrow, which would be on Monday. So, Odorizzi, obviously, have high hopes for him. I know he got off to a bad start this year. Started the season about 2 weeks late. He had 2 starts. Obviously, the injury kept him out another month or so. Came back, had a few starts. He pitched 1 game out of the bullpen, and then now he's back in the rotation. So sort of back and forth. Hasn't really gotten into a steady rhythm. Odorizzi, that is. So hopefully things. I don't know if I would use him as a starter. I just think that's where he's probably best served. And I can talk about Lance McCullers and my thoughts about him obviously here a little later, but I think Odorizzi's got to be a starter. I just think that's what he's done his entire career. So come playoff time, if the Astros are obviously you can move him to the bullpen then, but right now I just think that Odorizzi's a starter. He got 5 innings, 5 no-hit innings. Curious here on the amount of pitches he threw, because today he also started for the team, and Dusty didn't really let him go very far. So always an issue with the phone here. We'll see if we can get things pulled up here. But the Astros win this game 10-2. So this was the weird. There's always one game every year, I feel like, on the road where the Astros have some weird rain delay, multiple type thing, and the game just drags out for like 5-6 hours. I think this was that game because it started with an hour rain delay, so the Astros started at 7 instead of 6, which for us wasn't an issue because obviously they were playing up over there in Baltimore. So but you played 6, 7 innings, and then you had another rain delay, which took another 45 minutes. So the game didn't end until like 11:30. So 5.5 hours of baseball, or 5.5, 4.5 if you take out the hour. Just the whole thing was weird. The Astros always have one game like that a year where you have multiple rain delays, and it's just hard to get through. But the Astros took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. So the second rain delay, I feel like Ted Barrett was the crew chief, the umpire crew there, waited extremely long, hoping maybe the rain would pass. But the infield was really getting puddled up, so it was time to finally pull the tarp out, and we waited a while. But Odorizzi in this game, I wanted to pull this box score, especially because here he is here. He did get the win here to improve his record to 2-3. He threw, let's see here, I need to see this clearly because I'm curious. Curious on how many pitches he threw, so I'm looking for this here. He threw 86 pitches, 86. So taking him out after 5 was about right. The Astros had a big lead at that point in time anyway. They were already up, let's see here, 5-0. Added 2 in the 7th, 3 more in the 8th. 3 in the 8th was after the rain delay, I believe, so they were already up 7-0. So the score and the win really wasn't in doubt. What was in doubt was the no-hitter. I think that's why they wanted to really finish this game, although they didn't really need to. But Brandon Belak gave up a 2-run shot there after the rain delay in the 8th inning, which ruined the no-hitter. Not that, for me, no-hitters, obviously the Astros have thrown a few in the last few years. You think about, Mike Fiers a while back, the combined no-hitter with Aaron Sanchez. Justin Verlander threw one. So, for me, no-hitters, it's more impressive if the starting pitcher actually pitches the full game. You start bringing relievers, of course it still goes into the history books. I just don't think it's a huge thing. My big thing is just getting the win, basically. But trying to see here on some of the runs. Alvarez hit a home run in that 5-run third, but other than that, just, the offense, pick your poison. McCormick had an RBI single, Gurriel sac fly, RBI, Alvarez 3-run shot, Gurriel another sac fly, Correa RBI single. Correa's just been on fire. Michael Brantley's been on fire. He had a 2-run double. And Garrett Stubbs, who even got in the game, had a double. But that's your 10 runs for the Astros. And then, of course, the 2-run shot, which ended the no-hitter and the shutout for the Astros there. So, but that 86 pitch count's important to keep in mind. So I won't fast forward to today's game yet. But obviously, like I said, Tuesday game 3-1. Astros didn't really come out and score a whole bunch, but we did pitch well, which the pitching staff and the starting staff especially has done a good job of. Kept the winning streak alive up to 9 games after this one. I'm trying to think here. Got the start. I want to say Zach Greinke got the start in this one. Sounds right. As I wait for this to load, but I think Stanek and actually Brooks Raley came in. So Brooks Raley came in and got 2 outs to get Greinke. And Greinke goes 7 1/3, so improves his record to 8-2. So Greinke's been good this year. ERA 3.56, pretty good. Raley gets 2 outs and Presley gets the save. Allows a hit, strikes out 2. So he's been good in his opportunities this year so far, Presley. But again, hasn't had a ton of save opportunities. The Astros don't play a lot of close games. So that's why. But winning 3-1, and then on Wednesday, the bats break out 13-0 here. I won't even really talk about this game. It was a blowout. It was Baltimore. But real quickly, your pitching line here. So this was a Urquidy start. Yeah, 7 innings, 3 hits. Struck out 6, walked 1, allowed no runs. Belak came in, 2 hits, a walk, strikeout, but didn't allow a run there. And then Ralph Garza Jr. Gave up a walk and a hit, but scoreless inning for him as well. So that was never really in doubt. 13-0, and win streak goes up to 10 at that point. Go into Thursday, of course, now in Detroit. And the Astros bats continue to mash in this one as they win it 12-3. Had 2-run innings in the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and then the big 4-run ninth inning there, as Luis Garcia wasn't great, but he still did just fine. Gets the win, so he's 6-4 on the year, 2.83 ERA for him. But got through 7 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 2, struck out 5. So his stuff wasn't great, but he still worked through and had a very solid outing. Blake Taylor got an inning in, walked or gave up a hit, but no runs there. Stanek came in just to get some work. He hadn't worked in a while, but he had a clean inning with a strikeout. And then Ralph Garza Jr. again. He gave up an earned run, 3 hits, struck out 2, but Garza's just there to sort of eat up an inning when you need that. And I think the Astros have a few guys coming back in the bullpen here. Josh James, I think, is actually close. Austin Pruitt, who we haven't heard from since they apparently traded or signed for him before the start of last year, so I don't know what his deal is, but apparently he's out on some rehab assignment. And I think Brian Abreu also is close. So you have 3 guys possibly coming back into this rotation within 2 weeks. So Garza will definitely be one of the first guys sent back down for the corresponding roster move in that regard. Obviously, I don't like Abreu. I don't think he's good. Has never proven to be good. Pruitt, they have high hopes for. Josh James, I've sort of pulled the plug on him after the whole was it last year? I think it was last year where he just, in the playoffs, just really starting last year, he was a starter, but was so bad they sent him to the bullpen. But it was same story there. So I'm just done with Josh James believing he can be any help, really anywhere, pitching for the Astros. I mean, he had a pretty good 2018, I think. But 19 he was terrible. Last year was terrible. So there's no reason to think he'll be good this year. Again, handling your bullpen's handling your bullpen issues internally, I don't think is going to work, and that's what James Click wants to do. But you're just, it's not going to work. Our starters do work when you move them to the bullpen, but again, I don't know. The way Dusty uses those starters, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Obviously, Stanek in the 8th, Presley in the 9th. I do like that combination. I do have more faith in Stanek than anybody else in that bullpen aside from Presley, of course. But when you have, Presley or Stanek who's pitched two straight games or three out of 4 games, and you need a guy in the 8th inning, I would use Christian Javier, another starter. I just feel like Dusty feels like it almost seems like when you bring in your starters here out of the bullpen, Dusty likes to use these guys for 3-4 innings. And I don't necessarily think you have to do that in every circumstance, because when you do that, although it works then and now, I think that's good. I'd never like to look ahead and think, I need to use this guy tomorrow. But I think that when you use a guy and you use him 3-4 innings, he's wiped out the next 4 days. So why not give him an inning to get through if you're trying to bridge a gap, and then have his availability, the next day or the day after that, So that's one of the things I just thought, I'd throw out there, because I think it's important that, you don't have to use your starters out of the bullpen and have them go 3-4 innings every single time out. I just don't think that's necessarily smart, especially when you play close games, which the Astros don't play a lot of, but close games they usually play and they usually lose, like today, for instance. But yeah, after winning on Thursday, obviously, Jordan hits another big home run. But this was a lot like Wednesday's game. I mean, 13-0, 12-3. The offense just, yeah. But Alvarez hit another home run there. And we talked about, yeah, Garcia not great. Taylor, Stanek, Garzal getting in the game there. But yeah, Luis Garcia ERA still under 3 at 2.83 and gets his 6th win of the year. So 6 wins and 7 starts. Does that sound about right? Something like that, 6 and 8 maybe. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, Garcia's been great. So the rain out Friday, so obviously slated for 2 games on Saturday. These 7-inning doubleheaders, which is kind of weird. Astros finally lose a game here, 3-1 to Detroit. They had an opportunity in the first inning. In fact, they lead off single by Altuve. And then Brantley had a single through the right side of the infield. And Altuve got to third, so he had runners on first and third with nobody out. That proved to be a costly inning because, I mean, you had Gurriel, Alvarez, and Correa, your next 3 hitters. You didn't score a run there. Like, it was straight. I don't know. It's just, that was surprising to me, but that proved being costly. Because the Astros only scored 1 run. But a big 2-run home run by Zach Short, I believe, was proved to be the winning runs there in the 5th inning. So Framber Valdez wasn't expecting this. His first loss of the year, so he wasn't great, but he also wasn't terrible. I mean, he pitched all 6 innings. Obviously no 7th because the Tigers won. 3 earned runs. So it was a quality start. The offense just didn't show up. ERA jumps over 2 for the first time all year, 2.11. He might have had an ERA over 2 after his first start, but other than that, he's had been great. Won his 4 starts after the no decision in his first start back. But yeah, he gets the loss and didn't have to use anybody out of the bullpen with the 7-inning game there. But yeah, the offense just didn't show up that game, so you lose it. You do bounce back. The Saturday night game didn't look good for the longest time. Obviously, McCullers got the start. He pitched pretty well, not fantastic, but pretty well. I mean, McCullers, again, he's a guy that's, he can look very good sometimes, but he also can be very shaky at times. So, but yeah, the Astros, after being down 2-0 in the 6th inning, all with 2 outs, Alvarez had a big 2-run home run, and Correa hit a home run, back-to-back home runs, made it 3-2. And then Stanek had a good 8th inning, and Presley closed it out in the 9th. But that was a much-needed win. I always talk about when you have winning streaks, when you happen to lose that first game, obviously the Astros had 11 in a row, I always think it's important to bounce right back, which they were able to do there. But losing the game today was a tough one, just because the Astros had won 7 straight series, chance to take their 8th straight series tonight or this afternoon, and splitting the series against the Tigers isn't good. And the offense, once again, just didn't show up. So, I mean, we scored 1 run, I believe, in the 4th inning. Brooks Raley came in, sort of blew it a little bit. I mean, he came in, so they were runners. Odorizzi gets the start today. So here's where I have an issue with Dusty Baker. And Dusty, before I actually get into this for a second here, Dusty Baker actually, there was a game a while back against the Padres, and I spent a lot of time talking about this game. It was a Saturday game where they were up 6-1 against the Padres, ended up losing in extra innings. And Dusty Baker at that point I just couldn't believe some of the decisions he made, and I had really no faith in him at that point. But he proved a lot of the decisions he made I actually agreed with going forward. Let our starters go deeper, which is important. But this was a bad decision to take Odorizzi out after 5 innings. 77 pitches. He just threw 84. Not like he was stretched out then, but I felt like there was no reason to bring out Odorizzi, especially when the game's 1-0. If you're up, 5-6 runs, then okay, that makes sense then. But this is not. When you need 12 outs, 4 innings out of your bullpen, you're asking for trouble, because they've proven time and time again that they can't do it, especially in close games. That's when they tighten up. That's when they struggle. You brought in Javier, so obviously you're looking to get a few innings out of him. But Javier wasn't very sharp, walked 4 hitters. That's when Rayleigh came in to face, I think it was Akil Baddoo at the time. But Baddoo hit a single, scored a run. And yeah, Brooks Rayleigh blown save there. And Dusty has some love affair with Brooks Rayleigh because he just loves using him all the time. ERA at 5.86. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, Javier threw 50 pitches, walked 4 guys, got through an inning and 2/3. And, you wanted to set up the left-hander. Brooks Rayleigh, Blake Taylor, it's almost like pick your poison. Both of them are pretty bad. So, I don't know who you really go to in this situation. It's a tough spot because you have Stanek, but you're trying to use him ideally in the 8th inning, which they did do, I believe. Yeah, 8th inning. Yeah. But the game at this point is now tied. But Stanek had a nice inning, gave up a hit. He got a few fly balls to get out of the inning. ERA down for him at 3.34. Presley worked the 9th, which was an interesting spot. Obviously, the Astros on the road usually wait to use your closer, but I don't necessarily disagree with using the tied game. The goal right now is to get to extras, which Presley did do. Scoreless 9th inning, struck out a guy. But then at this point, 1-1 getting into extras with our bullpen, didn't like our chances, and sure enough, Blake Taylor, after not being able to score a run in the top half of the 10th, set things up nicely in a sort of safety squeeze play with Robbie Grossman after a sack, ground ball to Altuve from Jonathan Scope, moved the runner to third. And the runner scored. I think it was Akil Baddoo scored on the sort of safety squeeze by Robbie Grossman to win the game there. So disappointing end of the series, splitting it. Come back home, got 3 with Baltimore, so should beat up on them a little bit. And then you finally go out, short homestand, only 3 games, I think. Right? Let's see here. Yeah, short homestand of only 3 games, and you're back out back out in Cleveland for 4 before your first. You're off day on Monday, so, and then a week, and then the All-Star game. So one thing I wanted to do, quick standings update for you. So the Astros still have the best record in the American League. So put things in perspective. Things are still in good shape. 48-30, 2-game lead over Oakland in the division, so that's good. Got the Red Sox, who are a game back. Tampa Bay, game and a half back. So those are really your competitors for the best record in the American League. Obviously, Giants have the best record in the National League, best record in all of baseball at 50-27. So they look like they might be for real. Of course, Astros got 3 more games. I wanted to get back on for another podcast on Wednesday after the game, because that would mark exactly the halfway point and give you sort of my first half season report. So I plan to do that Wednesday and give you a breakdown of all of our players, where I think they're at, and how they've been playing, and how I feel about things going forward. So I will plan to be doing that on Wednesday night. Other than that, not a whole lot to go over. Like I said, some injury fronts. Bregman out a while. Tucker's been back now. Tucker's struggling again. Surprise, surprise. He's been really back and forth all year, it feels like, with Kyle Tucker. But I think the Garrett Stubbs got moved down for that move there. No reason to keep three catchers really. Obviously Diaz, Alemnis is out, so it's tough because you're without Bregman for a while, and Abraham Toro just can't do it. He's not a Major League Baseball player. It's just that simple. Robel Garcia is not really either. He's just sort of there. Taylor Jones, I've made my thoughts clear about how I feel about Taylor Jones. I won't really get into that a whole lot, but again, if I miss anything, I'll try to bring it up Wednesday, but I'll wrap things up there, and we'll talk to you next Sunday. Well, actually Wednesday night. So just trying to think any finishing touches here, if I can think of anything. Again, I'll break down our players, our starters, relievers, everybody on the 25-man roster, or if it's 26-man, I don't know. Come Wednesday, and the outlook for the team. They're right on pace to win right around 100 games, so that's better than I would have thought. But again, you got to beat the competition, which is Oakland in the division right now. And then, we'll have obviously big question marks. They're not even question marks in the bullpen. They're just bad options at this point. So, I won't really get into a whole lot more. I don't want to stop abruptly there. That's why I continued to talk a little bit. But, I will wrap things up there. And we'll talk to you Wednesday night. So we'll see you then.